Hi, my name's Catherine and I run Sincerely May, a wedding stationery company. I'm based down in Cornwall in Falmouth. Incredibly lucky to live here and do what I do, and I just want to tell you a bit more about my business. So the first question is, how did you come to be a wedding stationer, and what makes you different from your competitors? So I guess very cliche story. Got married myself back in 2012 and really struggled to find stationery that both my husband and I liked and reflected our day. It was very traditional and just really struggled. I'm a trained fashion designer. I've been in the industry for 10 years working for all the UK major high street companies and also having the chance to work and travel abroad as well. So I decided to take my skills and put them to paper and design our own wedding stationery, and I learned so much doing that process, and I guess that's how I can kind of relate to our couples and what they're going through and their thoughts and their misunderstandings and also their little quirks that they want. So that was a great process, and from there did friends' weddings, and then from then on it went from friends of friends and then friends of friends of friends and to complete strangers, and it kind of just took over. So I was still running Sincerely May whilst I was working full time, and it just got too much, and it was great and really, really positive. And that's kind of how we got to where we are. And I guess what makes us slightly different from our competitors is I feel I was very lucky to move to Australia with my husband in 2012. So 2 weeks after we got married, we moved to Australia. We were crazy. We had so much going on. And over in Australia, the industry is very, very different and I guess a bit more free-spirited, and they don't always look to each other. And I find that really inspirational, and they're really supportive as a community. And that's what I loved about it. And I was really inspired by how these businesses worked, and they didn't just follow the trends. They looked elsewhere. They looked in museums or fashion magazines. And that's kind of how I was really influenced. And the collections that I design, although they do follow the trends, they're not stuck in the mud. And I like to offer something very different. And that's what my couples always say to me, is how that they love my work because it's not what they always see, and I'm really glad that they are able to see that and understand that, and that's how I know I guess I'm getting the right couples to Sincerely May, and the love of the stationery and the paper and the design and the little touches. So I guess that's what makes me different, is using what's around me in a different way and not always going down the generic route. So describe the products and services you provide to wedding clients. So for the products, I provide wedding invitations, RSVPs, menus, order of services, table plans, anything paper related to the day I can provide. So I offer house collections, the collections that I've already designed but our couples can tweak, whether it's the colours or the wording or the layout slightly. And then I also offer a bespoke route, which is great fun because the couples that we attract have the best ideas, sometimes really wacky, but really, really good fun and really beautiful. And that's one service we provide. But then we also have another side of the business where we aim towards hen parties and baby showers and little keepsake ideas, the little questionnaires. And it's quite nice actually, because a lot of our couples who we design our wedding stationery with, we kind of follow along and obviously stay in touch, and when they have babies we then design their baby shower products, and it's really good fun, and it's a great way to keep in touch with our couples and follow their lives, because a lot of our couples we become quite close to them and we have great conversations, and so it's a really lovely way to extend that relationship. And in terms of services, we try to aim for a really personal service, that we aim for a really high quality service, and just really building relationship with our couples. We don't just want to know about their stationery, we want to know about all the other aspects of their day, because we feel by doing this and learning more about the couple and their personalities, we feel we can inject a bit more of them into the paper. So yeah, so that's what we like to provide really to our couples, a really personal, unique and modern service. So the next question is where do you get your design inspiration from, and how to keep up to date with all the trends within the wedding industry? Obviously it's one of the hardest things. The wedding industry moves so quickly, trends come and go, but I guess what I always do, and to make sure that I keep up to date with the trends, is following all my favourite suppliers that I've been incredibly lucky to work with, and the wedding planners that I work with, and obviously reading the magazines and just seeing what's coming and going. I again look really closely at the Australian and American market because I feel they're a bit more ahead than the UK, and I always find that in 2 years' time that's what happens to come into the UK trends. So I always look ahead there. And in terms of design inspiration, again, I take this from wedding magazines, fashion magazines and interiors. So I'm really inspired by stone and agate, or agate, I can never pronounce that word, and minerals and marble at the moment, which is obviously huge within the interiors sector at the moment. I'm very lucky to be able to travel a lot, so I get inspired by what I see when I'm travelling. So whether that's tropical designs, which I've done a lot of recently, and that's because I recently went on holiday to a beautiful place and was inspired by the banana leaves and the Hawaiian flowers. So I'm incredibly lucky to be able to get inspiration from that aspect. And yeah, just seeing what's out and around, and as cliche as it sounds, like Instagram, it's so fast moving and so fast paced that it's always hard to keep up to date with, but just seeing little aspects come through basically. One of my previous jobs in the fashion industry was working for a trend forecasting company for the fashion industry and designing for them, and I guess that gave me really good skills of being able to highlight what's happening. So whether that's looking ahead at what films are going to be in 2 years' time, and whether there's anything that could inspire a design from there. So yeah, so that's kind of where I get my design inspiration. Oh, and also working with my couples, they come up with some great ideas that I would never think of in a million years, and they're always the most fun because they challenge me to really think outside the box. So yeah. So next question is when a job goes wrong, what approach do you take when tackling its resolution? Obviously I try and avoid this at all costs, and luckily, touch wood, it doesn't happen very often. I've only had the odd case here and there, and it's normally been a misunderstanding in terms of the printing and the colours not coming out quite right in terms of when they see it on screen to when it comes to paper. And I obviously try and make it so clear that colours on the screen aren't always 100% reflective, and that's the only thing I can think of where it's gone really wrong. And when that happened, I was again more than happy to get the item reprinted to match what was in my customer's mind, and just yeah, although it could have been prevented, and although I made everything very clear from the start that colours on the screen aren't always the greatest if your brightness is too high or your brightness is too low. But yeah, these things happen, I guess. It's the joy of running the business. It's not always perfect. So yeah, so just making sure that I get it resolved basically, no matter what happens. And with that couple, although technically I wasn't in the wrong, I made sure that I ended it in a really positive manner, and it wasn't a bad ending. And I'm actually really good friends with that couple now, and still really, in touch with them. And they've given me many word of mouth clients, which has been great. But yeah, just making sure that the customer, it finishes on a positive ending and not on a negative ending, and making sure that I do my absolute best to get it correct, and so they know that actually they can understand that I've worked hard to get it back to what they aim for it to be. So yeah, so it's not always fun when a job goes wrong, but obviously it's one of the parts of the business, and just basically working your butt off to ensure it is corrected. So what is the most valuable thing you learned in the last year of your business? So I found this really hard to answer in just one point, because I've learned many things. I've been running Sincerely May now for 2.5 years. It's been a massive learning curve. I've learned so much about myself and about business, and there's many more things to learn along the way. But there's a few points. So I guess point number one is just to be genuine and be valuable, and ensure that what I'm putting out there is true to myself and true to Sincerely May. And again, making sure my product is good quality along the way. Next up is investing in my business. I find that really crucial. So whether that's doing little workshops or investing in a new printer to ensure the quality is better and my mind is more at ease when the job comes through. And yeah, just doing workshops, and whether that's creative workshops or whether it's business workshops, and learning how to do taxes. And so yeah, so just investing in my business. And going back to the last question, is the customer might not always be right, but they always deserve respect throughout the process. And yes, that's another point. And I guess because I am self-employed and Sincerely May is a one-man band with the help of my husband every now and then, but things can get lonely. But you know, you have lows and you have highs, and I guess because I work down in Cornwall, most of my couples are based around London or up north. Don't always get to meet face to face, so Skyping is always good, and email chats and linking up with other businesses has been a massive thing to learn this year. And I think the biggest thing has been to celebrate my successes. I think it's so hard in today's world with Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and hearing about all these other people's, all the other businesses' successes of they've just got this great order in, or they've just won this award. It's quite hard because sometimes you work so hard and you put everything into it that you sometimes feel, why aren't I getting those things, and why aren't I getting the recognition? But when those successes come, no matter how small, it's just to celebrate them and really feel positive about them. And I think that's one thing I've really learned this year, is to really celebrate my successes. And every 3 months I write goals for my business, and as soon as I achieve them, I always make sure I celebrate, whether that's a case of just getting a slice of cake or going out for dinner with my husband when it's a really big achievement. So yeah, so just celebrating my business and not getting too down by what everyone else is doing out there. So yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed learning about Sincerely May. It's been really fun actually doing this and sitting down. Apologies that I'm in my living room. We are currently moving, so my studio is all in cardboard boxes. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video instead of just reading my replies. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. I'd love to speak more about my business. And yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you haven't got too bored watching me.